Have you ever walked into a room full of people and sensed the undercurrent of tension or excitement before a single word was spoken? That immediate, intuitive awareness is the starting point for reading people like a book. It begins by recognizing that every person emits a baseline, an unspoken pattern of behavior when they feel relaxed and unpressured. By first observing this baseline, you establish a reference point against which genuine emotional shifts stand out clearly. Rather than jumping to conclusions based on a single gesture or expression, you learn to see deviations from this norm, providing reliable clues about someone's unspoken feelings. Cultivating this skill transforms you from a passive observer into an active interpreter of the subtle signals that shape human interaction. To identify the baseline, spend a few moments watching people in their most neutral state, perhaps, while they order coffee, scroll through their phone, or greet a friend. Notice their habitual gestures, postures, and pacing. Does one individual often lean on their left hip? Does another frequently tuck a strand of hair behind their ear? These small, consistent behaviors are not random. They form the backdrop against which true emotional reactions emerge. When you later witness a departure from these patterns, such as a sudden arm crossing, a sharp intake of breath, or a brief tightening around the eyes, you'll know to pay closer attention, as these shifts are rich with meaning. Once you've established a clear baseline, the next challenge is to detect clusters of deviation, multiple gestures or expressions occurring together that signal an authentic emotional response. A single foot tap or a quick glance to the side may be mere habit, but when paired with a pursed lip, a fleeting narrowing of the eyes, and a subtle leaning away, you're likely witnessing discomfort or resistance. By focusing on clusters rather than isolated cues, you reduce false positives and sharpen your interpretive accuracy. This method allows you to distinguish between habitual tics and true emotional markers, giving you confidence in your readings. Practicing baseline observation and clustering in everyday settings accelerates your mastery. During meetings, casual conversations, or social gatherings, take note of a person's resting gestures for 60 seconds before engaging. Then, as the interaction unfolds, observe how their behavior changes in response to your words or to the environment. Keep a mental log of these shifts, and when appropriate, verify your impressions through open-ended questions. You seemed thoughtful just now. What's on your mind? Over time, this disciplined approach will train your brain to recognize and interpret nonverbal signals with the precision of reading text on a page. Facial expressions are among the most potent windows into someone's inner experience. Yet true emotions often masquerade behind practiced masks, flitting across the face in micro-expressions lasting a fraction of a second. These rapid, involuntary cues, such as a brief tightening of the lips signaling displeasure, or a split-second widening of the eyes betraying surprise, flash across the face before conscious control can intervene. To catch them, cultivate peripheral vision. Instead of staring directly at one feature, allow your gaze to encompass the entire face. When a micro-expression appears, your subconscious mind signals you to focus in. Over time, practice identifying the 7 universal emotions: happiness, sadness, anger, fear, surprise, disgust, and contempt as they momentarily emerge, then recede. Recognizing these fleeting signals equips you to respond with empathy or tact before the mask returns. While micro-expressions reveal raw emotion, Context refines their interpretation. A grimace at a family dinner may reflect a momentary memory rather than disapproval of the present conversation. When someone's lips tighten and chin juts out, consider surrounding clues. Did their posture shift? Was their gaze averted? What topic was just discussed? By combining micro-expression detection with baseline and clustering techniques, you reduce the risk of misreading a signal in isolation. Always frame facial cues within the broader behavioral and situational landscape. Before acting on a micro-expression, assess whether it appears once or repeatedly across related stimuli. This careful calibration ensures that your interpretations align with genuine inner states rather than transient reactions. Body language extends the story beyond facial cues. The way someone carries their head, positions their shoulders, or even taps their foot conveys powerful information about their level of comfort, receptivity, and engagement. Observe whether a person's torso remains open chest forward, shoulders relaxed or closed arms crossed, shoulders hunched. Note whether their weight shifts toward you or away, and whether their feet point toward the exit or toward deeper engagement. These signals, when read in clusters, offer a three-dimensional portrait of someone's emotional orientation. By mirroring their openness, matching your own chest and shoulders, and subtly guiding them toward more expansive postures, you build rapport and trust, gently inviting them to relax and share more freely. Every nonverbal cue must be interpreted within its context. The same gesture can carry different meanings depending on cultural background, environment, and personality. A head tilt signals empathy in some cultures and uncertainty in others. A smile might express genuine warmth, polite acknowledgement, or even a mask for discomfort. To avoid misinterpretation, always assess the setting, the social norms at play, and the individual's known preferences. Ask yourself, is this behavior typical for this person in this place? Have I accounted for external factors, lighting, seating, interpersonal dynamics that might influence posture or expression? By meticulously situating each cue in its full context, you ensure your readings are grounded in reality rather than assumption. Clusters of signals remain the most reliable indicators of authentic emotion. When you observe a single cue, a flicker of tension in the jaw or slight foot drag, you need additional confirmation before drawing conclusions. Watch for 2 or 3 related changes. A sigh coupled with a downward glance and a sudden stillness, for example, strongly suggests emotional disengagement or fatigue. This clustering approach helps you differentiate between habitual movements and true indicators of feeling. Seek patterns across face, body, voice, and timing. The richer the cluster, the higher your confidence in what you're witnessing, enabling you to respond accurately and ethically in critical moments. Micro-calibration refines your interpretive accuracy over time. After pivotal conversations or observations, take a moment to reflect and verify your perceptions. Did the cluster of crossed arms, a momentarily raised pitch, and a lowered gaze truly indicate defensiveness? Or was it a reaction to physical discomfort, perhaps a noisy neighbor or a hard chair? By debriefing each interaction, recording your impressions alongside the actual outcomes, you build an internal database of what nonverbal signals truly correlate with which emotions or intents. This structured feedback loop accelerates your learning curve, sharpening your intuitive reads into dependable expertise. Finally, use context clusters, and calibration together to guide thoughtful inquiry. When cues suggest something unspoken hesitation before answering, fleeting expressions of doubt frame your question in a non-threatening, open-ended way. I noticed you paused there. Would you like to explore that idea further? This approach invites the other person to clarify or confirm your reading without feeling exposed or interrogated. By combining astute observation with empathetic questioning, you transform nonverbal literacy into a bridge toward genuine understanding and deeper connection. Context is the compass that guides accurate interpretation of nonverbal cues. A slight head tilt might convey curiosity in one culture, yet signal confusion in another. And a firm handshake can register as confidence in some contexts or aggression in others. To navigate these nuances, always calibrate your observations against cultural, situational, and individual factors. Before assuming meaning from a gesture, ask yourself, what norms shape this person's behavior here? If you're meeting a client from a high-context culture where indirect communication prevails, you may find that nodding means acknowledgement more than agreement. By researching cultural etiquette and observing group patterns, you build a backdrop against which individual signals become intelligible rather than misleading. Equally vital is verifying your interpretations through gentle inquiry. When you notice a cluster of signals, pressed lips, lowered gaze, and a frown, resist the urge to conclude someone is upset with you without confirmation. Instead, frame a non-judgmental question. I noticed you seemed reflective just now. Would you like to share your thoughts? This approach provides the person an opportunity to clarify their state and prevents you from acting on erroneous assumptions. Over time, verifying becomes a natural extension of your observational skills, fostering transparent dialogue and preventing miscommunications that stem from cultural or personal idiosyncrasies. Ethical use of people reading skills hinges on integrity and empathy. Your ability to decode nonverbal signals grants you insight into others' private experiences. But with that power comes responsibility. Use your observations to support and empower, not manipulate or coerce. If you detect anxiety in a colleague before a presentation, offer encouragement rather than exploit their vulnerability. When you spot excitement in a friend, invite them to share their good news. By aligning your nonverbal acumen with genuine care, you strengthen trust and deepen connections. Remember that ethical readers deploy their skills to build mutual respect, turning insight into supportive action. Integration of people reading into your communication toolkit requires mindful practice and reflection. Set aside weekly observation sessions where you review recent interactions and note both your successes and misreading. Reflect on moments when context or culture complicated your interpretations and consider alternative explanations. Engage in role play with trusted peers, taking turns displaying mixed signals for each other to decipher. As you refine your approach, your ability to synthesize facial microexpressions, body language, voice cues, and contextual information coalesces into a seamless skill set. Ultimately, Part 4 of your mastery journey emphasizes that context, verification, ethics, and integration transform raw observations into empathetic understanding and authentic human connection. Pacing and leading extend mirroring into a dynamic interplay. Once you've established rapport by matching someone's signals, you can gently guide the interaction by introducing a new behavior and allowing them to follow. For example, after mirroring their relaxed breathing, you might slow your own breath slightly or shift your posture to a more open stance. Because you've synchronized rhythms, they instinctively adapt to your new pattern, deepening trust. Courses in improvisational theater often use this principle to teach actors how to forge genuine connections on stage. The same concept applies to everyday conversations. By pacing and then leading, you move fluidly from empathy into influence without overt persuasion. Active listening cements rapport by validating the other person's experience, both verbally and non-verbally. While observing their non-verbal cues, reflect back what you hear. It sounds like you felt frustrated when that happened. Accompany this with nods, appropriate facial expressions, and an occasional "uh-huh" to signal genuine engagement. Avoid the common pitfall of listening with the intent to reply. Instead, listen to understand. This depth of attention signals respect and often leads people to share more richly. When your paraphrasing resonates, they feel seen and heard, and the emotional bond strengthens, creating fertile ground for honest dialogue. Finally, combine rapport techniques with calibrated questions to deepen trust and gather insights. Rather than asking closed questions, "Did you like the proposal?" Pose open-ended prompts tied to observed cues. "You seemed thoughtful when we discussed timelines. What concerns do you have about the schedule?" By referencing nonverbal signals and inviting elaboration, you demonstrate attentive care and encourage authenticity. As people respond, maintain mirroring and active listening to support their expression. Over time, these rapport-building rituals become second nature, enabling you to forge meaningful connections quickly, read unspoken emotions accurately, and collaborate with empathy and influence in every interaction. Deception often manifests in a subtle mismatch between verbal content and nonverbal behavior. When someone's words express sincerity, but their body language contradicts, say, they claim confidence while their shoulders slump, or they avert their gaze, you've spotted a potential inconsistency. Focus on these moments of incongruence. A person affirming "I'm fine" while their voice quivers, or insisting "yes" with lips pressed into a thin line. Such contradictions can signal that the speaker is withholding information or experiencing internal conflict. By tuning into these discrepancies, you gain early warning of possible guardedness or dishonesty, allowing you to probe gently and preserve rapport. Recognizing reliable honesty cues requires careful pattern calibration. Honest communication often features relaxed, symmetrical gestures, coordinated facial expressions, and smooth speech rhythms. The forehead may relax, the shoulders soften, and the voice maintains steady tempo and volume. By contrast, deception can trigger micro-tensions, brief eyebrow flickers, one-sided shrugs, or sudden pauses before answering. To distinguish these reliably, observe a person under neutral conditions. Then note which signals change when sensitive topics arise. Over multiple conversations, you'll learn each individual's unique, honest gesture profile, sharpening your ability to discern truth from spun narratives. Questions that invite elaboration can encourage someone to move from guarded responses to more open sharing. When you suspect a guarded answer marked by closed posture, tight voice, or deflection, ask, "Could you walk me through that a bit more?" Or, "What happened next?" These invitations signal genuine interest and give the speaker permission to expand, As they elaborate, watch for clusters. Does their tone relax? Do their shoulders drop? Does their gaze return? If so, they're likely moving toward authenticity. If the guarded cues intensify more hesitation, increased vocal pitch, you'll know the topic remains sensitive and may require patience or a different conversational approach. Maintaining your own authenticity and calm underpins successful deception detection. If you react with visible suspicion, leaning back sharply, narrowing your eyes, you risk triggering defensiveness and shutting down dialogue. Instead, uphold a composed demeanor. Steady breath, open posture, and neutral facial expression. This emotional neutrality encourages the other person to mirror your calm and feel safe enough to lower their guard. Pair neutrality with genuine empathy, acknowledge the difficulty of sensitive disclosures, and affirm your appreciation for their honesty. By balancing clear observation of deception cues with respectful, non-judgmental engagement, you foster an environment where truth naturally surfaces and trust deepens.